Stop. Pause everything. Stop the noise in your mind. Stop the rushing of your heart. Stop the weight you have been carrying without words. Listen, because this is not by accident. This moment did not find you randomly. You did not arrive here because you were bored or because time was passing. You are here because God is speaking to you now. And if you let your heart become still, you will recognize that this voice has been calling your name long before you noticed it. There are moments when life becomes so loud that the soul forgets how to breathe. The world demands answers, performance, strength, speed, and perfection. Yet inside you there is a quiet place that has been aching for something deeper than survival. You have been moving but not resting. You have been working but not living. You have been believing yet doubting at the same time. God sees this conflict inside you. He sees the faith you still carry even when your hands feel empty. He sees the prayers you could not finish and the tears you never explained. And He is calling you to stop and listen, because what He is about to awaken in you cannot be received while you are running. You may feel unseen, overlooked, delayed, or forgotten. You may feel as though you have given more than you have received, prayed longer than you have seen results, trusted deeper than the evidence allowed. But understand this truth: silence is not absence. Waiting is not rejection. Stillness is not weakness. God often does His greatest work in the moments when nothing seems to be happening. When the ground looks dry, roots are still growing. When the night feels endless, the morning is already being prepared. Listen carefully, because God is not speaking to the version of you that the world labels. He is speaking to the one He formed with intention. Before your struggles had names, before your fears found language, before your failures tried to define you, God already knew who you were becoming. He did not call you by your mistakes. He did not design you for limitation. He did not breathe life into you just so you could endure disappointment. You were created with purpose that cannot be canceled by delay. You have been asking why things have taken so long. Why doors closed just when you were ready? Why strength faded when you needed it most? Why clarity disappeared at critical moments? But what you call delay, God calls preparation. What you call loss, God calls alignment. What you call weakness, God calls surrender. There are things you prayed for that could not arrive until certain parts of you were refined, strengthened, and made ready to carry what you asked for. Stop and listen. God is not rushing you. He is reshaping you. He is not pressuring you to perform. He is inviting you to trust. Faith is not about control. It is about alignment. When your heart aligns with God's timing, peace replaces panic. When your spirit aligns with God's will, strength replaces striving. When your mind aligns with God's truth, fear loses its authority. There is a reason you are tired of pretending to be strong. There is a reason your soul longs for authenticity instead of applause. There is a reason success without peace no longer satisfies you. God is drawing you away from shallow victories and into lasting fulfillment. He is teaching you that true power flows from obedience, not ambition, from listening, not shouting, from surrender, not resistance. You have been listening to many voices, voices of comparison, voices of pressure, voices of doubt, voices of fear. But none of those voices created you. None of them sustain your breath. None of them hold your future. Only God does. And when God speaks, He does not compete for attention. He waits for your willingness to hear. There are seasons when God asks you to move, and there are seasons when God asks you to stand still. Right now, He is asking you to stop and listen. Not because you are behind, but because what comes next requires clarity. Not because you failed, but because you are about to be entrusted with more. Listening is not passive, it is powerful. It is the posture of someone who knows that direction is more valuable than speed. Your life is not random. Your pain is not meaningless. Your prayers are not ignored. God has been collecting every tear, weighing every sacrifice, observing every silent act of faith. And now He is calling your attention not to overwhelm you, but to remind you that you are not alone in this journey. The same God who guided you through what almost broke you will guide you into what will strengthen you. Stop measuring yourself by what others have achieved. Stop interpreting your worth through timing that was never meant to be yours. God does not compare. He customizes. He does not copy. He creates uniquely. What He has placed inside you has its own season, its own pace, its own unfolding. When you try to rush what God designed to mature, you risk damaging what was meant to last. Listen with your spirit, not just your ears. God often speaks through conviction, through peace, through restlessness that refuses to be ignored. When something inside you says there must be more, that is not dissatisfaction, it is divine invitation. When something inside you refuses to settle for less than truth, that is not rebellion, it is awakening. You are not too late. You are not too broken. You are not too weak. God does not begin what He does not intend to complete. He does not awaken hunger without providing fulfillment. He does not stir vision without supplying provision. What He requires from you is not perfection, but trust. Not performance, but obedience. Not noise, but listening. There will be moments ahead when uncertainty tries to return, when fear attempts to speak louder than faith, when the past tries to rewrite your future. In those moments, remember this pause. Remember this call to stillness. Remember that God speaks most clearly to hearts that are willing to listen more than they. Speak. Stop striving to prove yourself. Stop carrying what was never meant to be yours alone. Stop doubting the quiet work God has been doing within you. Listen, because even now He is strengthening your inner life, sharpening your discernment, deepening your faith. You may not see the full picture yet, but clarity will come as you walk, not before you move. God is not finished with you. This is not the end of your story. This is not the height of your calling. What lies ahead requires a deeper trust, a quieter confidence, a stronger faith than what you have relied on before. And that is why God is speaking now before the next step, before the next door, before the next challenge. Let your heart be still. Let your spirit become attentive. Let go of the urgency to understand everything at once. God reveals direction step by step, not all at once. Faith grows when you trust Him with the next step, even when the full path is not visible. Listen, because what God is forming in you during this season will sustain you in the next. The patience you are learning will protect you. The humility you are developing will guide you. The faith you are strengthening will carry you. And when you look back, you will realize that this pause was not a delay, but a divine alignment. You are being prepared for something meaningful, something purposeful, something greater than what you have known before. Do not rush past this moment. Do not ignore this invitation. Stop and listen, because God is speaking to you right now, shaping your future, even as your heart grows quiet enough to hear His voice calling you forward into what He has already prepared for you. There are truths God plants in silence that can never be learned in noise. When everything around you is loud, when opinions collide and expectations press in on your soul, wisdom does not shout, it waits. God waits. He waits for the moment when you are no longer distracted by urgency, no longer intoxicated by speed, no longer driven by fear of falling behind. In that stillness, clarity rises. In that stillness, strength is restored. In that stillness, you begin to see that God was never absent, He was patient, allowing you to mature enough to recognize His direction without confusion. You have been living with questions that seem too heavy to carry alone. Questions about purpose, about direction, about why certain things feel unfinished. But understand this: God is not intimidated by your questions. He is not threatened by your uncertainty. What He desires is honesty. When you come to Him without masks, without rehearsed words, without pretending to be stronger than you are, something sacred happens. Truth meets truth. And in that meeting, burdens begin to loosen their grip. There are battles you have been fighting with effort when God was calling you to fight with trust. Effort exhausts the body, but trust renews the spirit. Effort relies on visible strength, but trust draws power from unseen certainty. God does not ask you to exhaust yourself trying to force outcomes. He asks you to remain faithful while He orders events beyond your reach. When you trust Him, you are not surrendering control, you are aligning with authority greater than your fear. Listen carefully, because God does not reveal everything at once, not because He withholds, but because growth requires process. If He showed you everything now, it would overwhelm you. If He handed you everything at once, it would crush you. So He gives you what you need for today, and He shapes you for tomorrow. Faith grows in steps, not leaps. Obedience is proven in small decisions, not grand declarations. You may feel stretched in ways you did not expect, pressed emotionally, challenged spiritually, refined internally. This stretching is not punishment, it is preparation. God stretches what He intends to expand. He refines what He intends to use. He disciplines what He deeply values. Nothing about this season is wasted. Every uncomfortable moment is shaping endurance. Every unanswered question is building trust. Every quiet struggle is deepening your reliance on God rather than on outcomes. Stop resisting the process. Stop questioning your worth because progress feels slow. God's work is rarely loud, rarely rushed, and never careless. He works with precision, with intention, with eternal awareness. What feels slow to you is often God being thorough. What feels hidden is often God protecting what is still fragile. What feels uncertain is often God teaching you to walk by faith rather than by sight. There are habits God is asking you to release not because they are evil, but because they are limiting. There are patterns He is calling you to outgrow not because they failed, but because they no longer fit who you are becoming. Growth always requires letting go. You cannot carry yesterday's identity into tomorrow's calling. God is inviting you to trust Him enough to release what feels familiar so you can receive what is faithful. Listen, God is not calling you to be fearless. He is calling you to be faithful. Courage is not the absence of fear, it is obedience in the presence of fear. Faith is not certainty about outcomes, it is confidence in God's character. When you move forward despite uncertainty, you are declaring that God is greater than your doubt. When you remain steady despite pressure, you are declaring that His promises are more reliable than circumstances. You are not defined by what you have lost. Loss does not erase value. Delay does not diminish calling. Failure does not cancel purpose. God does not discard what struggles, He restores it. He does not abandon what breaks, He rebuilds it. He does not reject what questions, He teaches it. The very areas you thought disqualified you are the places where God intends to demonstrate His faithfulness most clearly. Pay attention to what God is stirring in your heart right now. The quiet desire to live with integrity. The deep longing for peace instead of applause. The conviction to choose truth over convenience. These are not random thoughts, they are signals. God is recalibrating your inner compass so you can walk with confidence even when the path ahead is unfamiliar. Stop looking for confirmation everywhere except within. God speaks through alignment, through peace that remains even when logic questions it. When something draws you closer to humility, patience, and trust, it is worth listening to. When something fuels pride, haste, and fear, it is worth questioning. Discernment grows when you learn to recognize the difference between pressure and purpose. There will be moments when obedience feels lonely, when choosing what is right costs you comfort, when standing firm isolates you from voices you once leaned on. But know this, isolation for a season is not abandonment, it is concentration. God often separates before He elevates, quiets before He commissions, refines before He reveals. What He is preparing you for requires depth, not noise. Do not underestimate the power of consistency. Faithfulness in ordinary moments builds extraordinary strength, showing up when it feels unnoticed, trusting God when results are unseen, choosing integrity when shortcuts are available. These choices shape character, and character sustains calling when excitement fades. God trusts those who remain faithful in silence because they will remain faithful in visibility. Listen, your story is still unfolding. What you see now is only a chapter, not the conclusion. God is not done writing. He is not finished shaping. He is not complete in His work within you. The same God who carried you through what you never thought you would survive is equipping you for what you never thought you could handle. Let your heart remain open. Let your spirit stay attentive. Let your life be guided not by urgency, but by obedience. God is leading you step by step, breath by breath, into a future anchored in trust, strengthened by faith, and sustained by His presence. And as you continue to listen, you will discover that what once felt confusing now feels purposeful. What once felt heavy now feels meaningful. And what once felt uncertain now feels firmly held in the hands of God. There is a discipline God is cultivating in you that cannot be learned in comfort. It is the discipline of listening when answers are delayed, of trusting when emotions fluctuate, of standing firm when nothing around you seems stable. This discipline does not arrive suddenly. It is forged through repeated choices to believe God's wisdom over your own impulse. Each time you resist panic, each time you refuse to compromise truth for ease, each time you choose patience over reaction, something inside you becomes unshakable. God is training your inner ear. He is teaching you to recognize His guidance not through force, but through alignment. When your spirit feels settled even though circumstances are unsettled, that is not denial, it is discernment. When peace remains while logic struggles to explain it, that is not weakness, that is faith at work. God's guidance often comes as quiet certainty rather than dramatic instruction, and only those who learn to listen deeply can recognize it. You have been tempted to believe that louder faith is stronger faith, but God values depth over volume. A faith that remains steady in silence is more powerful than a faith that depends on constant affirmation. God is drawing you into a place where your confidence no longer depends on external validation, where your assurance no longer rises and falls with circumstances. He is anchoring you so deeply that even when storms pass over you, they do not uproot you. There are decisions ahead that will shape not just what you do, but who you become. God is less concerned with your speed than with your direction. You can move quickly and still be lost. You can pause and still be progressing. When you listen before you move, your steps gain weight, meaning, and endurance. God does not rush what He intends to last. Listen because God is also refining your motives. He is gently exposing why you want what you want, why you pursue what you pursue, not to shame you, but to free you. When motives are pure, effort becomes lighter. When intentions are aligned, resistance loses its grip. God is teaching you that purpose is not just about outcomes, but about the posture of your heart along the way. You have felt moments of inner conflict, wanting to move forward, but sensing restraint, feeling capable yet held back. That tension is not confusion, it is discernment in development. God often restrains before He releases. He pauses before He accelerates. This pause is protection. It is God ensuring that when you step forward, you do so with clarity rather than impulse. Do not mistake calmness for stagnation. Stillness is often the most active form of faith. While you wait, God is working beyond what you can see. He is arranging circumstances, softening hearts, closing paths that would distract you, and opening ones that align with your calling. You are not standing still, you are being positioned. God is also teaching you how to hear truth without reacting defensively. Correction is not rejection. Conviction is not condemnation. When God points out an area that needs growth, it is because He believes in what you can become. He does not expose to humiliate, He reveals to heal. The willingness to receive correction is a sign of maturity, not weakness. Listen because God is reshaping how you see success. Success is not constant movement, it is consistent obedience. It is not public recognition, it is private faithfulness. It is not achieving everything quickly, it is becoming someone trustworthy enough to carry what you receive. God is building a foundation in you that will not collapse when pressure increases. There will be moments when you feel unseen in your obedience, when doing the right thing costs you opportunities others seem to gain easily, when integrity delays rewards. But God sees what others overlook. He measures differently. What appears insignificant now is becoming significant later. Faithfulness plants seeds that grow quietly before they ever appear visibly. God is inviting you to let go of urgency driven by fear. Fear says, act now or lose everything. Faith says, wait now and gain clarity. When you act from fear, you shrink your future to what you can control. When you act from faith, you open yourself to what God can do beyond your reach. Listening protects you from making permanent decisions based on temporary emotions. You are learning that trust is not passive, it is active surrender. It is choosing to believe God's wisdom even when your feelings argue otherwise. It is choosing obedience even when outcomes are uncertain. This kind of trust reshapes the soul. It makes you resilient without becoming hardened, confident without becoming proud, steady without becoming rigid. Listen, God is also preparing you to lead, whether publicly or quietly, through example rather than instruction. People are influenced more by consistency than by words. When they see someone who remains calm under pressure, patient in delay, faithful without applause, they witness faith in action. God often uses lives, not speeches, to communicate truth. Your journey is not meant to mirror anyone else's. Comparison will only distort your perception and drain your strength. God's design for you is specific, intentional, and uniquely timed. When you accept that, rest replaces restlessness. Gratitude replaces envy. Focus replaces distraction. Listening becomes easier when you stop measuring your path against another's pace. There are layers of strength God is still uncovering in you. Strength you did not know you had. Wisdom you did not know you carried. Compassion that has been shaped by struggle. These are not accidental traits, they are forged qualities. God does not waste pain. He transforms it into insight, empathy, and authority grounded in humility. Listen, because even now, God is reminding you that you are held, not by certainty, not by control, but by trust in Him. You are not walking alone. You are not navigating blindly. Each step you take in obedience strengthens your ability to hear Him more clearly. Each moment you choose stillness over haste deepens your connection to His guidance. And as you continue to listen, you will find that your life begins to move not with chaos, but with quiet confidence, not with pressure, but with purpose, not with fear, but with a growing awareness that God's direction is unfolding in you moment by moment, breath by breath, shaping you into someone who walks forward grounded, attentive, and fully aligned with His will. Now listen with everything that is within you, because this moment asks something of your soul. Not agreement, not applause, not emotion, but response. God has not been speaking to entertain you. He has been speaking to awaken you. Every word you have heard has been an invitation to step out of distraction and into devotion, out of fear and into trust, out of survival and into purpose. This is the moment where hearing must become alignment, and alignment must become action. Examine your life with honesty and courage. Look at where your attention has been divided, where your faith has grown quiet, where your trust has been replaced by worry, not with shame, not with regret, but with humility. God is not asking you to condemn yourself. He is asking you to return to attentiveness, to return to reverence, to return to a life that listens before it moves and trusts before it demands. Let this be the moment you release what has hardened your heart. Release resentment that has drained your joy. Release fear that has kept you small. Release the need to control outcomes that were never yours to manage. God does not ask for what you cannot give. He asks for what you must let go of so He can fill the space with peace, direction, and strength that endures. Renew your purpose not by chasing something new, but by realigning with what is true. Purpose is not found in noise or recognition. It is found in obedience, in faithfulness, in walking closely with God, even when no one is watching. Let your daily choices reflect your deepest convictions. Let your inner life match your outward actions. Let integrity become your quiet declaration of trust in God. Draw closer to God not through performance, but through presence. Speak less when you must. Listen more when you can. Make room for stillness. Make space for reflection. Choose faith when fear feels louder. Choose patience when urgency tempts you to rush. Every step toward God, no matter how small it seems, carries weight in the unseen. Let this moment mark a turning within you, a decision to live with awareness rather than assumption, with trust rather than tension, with faith rather than fear. God is worthy of your full attention, your honest heart, your willing obedience. And as you walk forward with a listening spirit and a surrendered will, you will find that strength rises where anxiety once lived, clarity replaces confusion, and peace takes root where striving once ruled, because God is near, God is faithful, and God is enough.